September 14, 2014, from Raymond James Stadium in Tampa, Florida. It was the St. Louis Rams at the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. What a crazy game this was, as thunderstorms were surrounding the stadium and severe weather, and in the first half they ended up stopping the game for 51 minutes. But first, before that happened, Josh McCown scored on a 5-yard touchdown run to make the score 7-0 Bucs. Stacy would tie the game up minutes later with a 2-yard touchdown run, as this game ended up tied at 7 apiece at that point. That was it for the first quarter. We had that stoppage, but then in the second quarter, the only score we saw was just before the half came to a close. Zuerlein kicked the 36-yard field goal, his first of many, as that gave the St. Louis Rams the lead going into halftime at 10-7. So the game went to halftime, and that's where we saw Hall of Famer Derrick Brooks honored and inducted into the Ring of Honor for the Buccaneers. So Brooks was there. The Bucs got to get some inspiration from that. And in the third quarter, Josh McCown scored his second rushing touchdown of the game. And this one was a 1-yard touchdown run. And the score was now 14-10 as the Bucs took back the lead. But then, with less than 3 minutes left in the third, Zuerlein scored on a 35-yard field goal, his second field goal of the game, to bring the Rams within 1 point with the score 14-13. And then in the fourth, with about 9 minutes left in the game, Zuerlein came on the field to kick a 46-yard field goal, and that gave the Rams the lead 16-14 as they now led by 2 points. But then Patrick Murray, with about 5 minutes left, kicked a 36-yard field goal, and the Bucs were up by 1 point at 17-16 as this game was as close as could be. Zuerlein would then kick a 38-yard field goal with 38 seconds left in the game clock, and the score was now 19-17 as these two teams were trading the lead, and now the Rams were back up by 2 points. So now the Bucs got the ball back with one last chance, but they were going to need to hit a home run, or a Hail Mary as it were. And they were trying to get towards midfield and into field goal range. They made it all the way to the 39, their own 39. But then with 8 seconds left on the clock, Mike Evans was injured, and the refs called an injury timeout as they carted him off the field. And because of that, the rule states that you must run off 10 seconds. And with only 8 seconds being left on the clock, the Bucs were kind of robbed, as time was just taken off the clock, and their opportunity and their chance to make something happen, maybe one play out of bounds and a crazy 65-yard kick or something, who knows, depending on where they ended up. Of course, the rule's there because if you actually fake an injury, you get the clock stoppage, you get to call a play. Not very fair. So it's kind of controversial, but in the end, that's the rules. And so the Rams win this game 19-17 as they win by 2 points, and they even up their record at 1-1. And in this game, Austin Davis was 22 for 29 as he was very impressive. He had 235 yards. Josh McCown was 16 for 21 with 179 yards and 1 interception. He also ran for 2 touchdowns off of 2 carries for a total of 6 yards. The leading rusher in the game was Bobby Rainey, who had 144 yards off of 22 carries. Stacy also racked up 71 yards and 19 carries and a touchdown for St. Louis. And the leading receiver in this game was Brandon Quick with 74 yards off of 7 receptions. This game was all about defense, as on both sides of the ball, these defenses were shutting down the offenses and not letting them get in the end zone. And in the end, the Buccaneers lose a heartbreaker by just 2 points as they lose 19-17 as the Rams are victorious. The Buccaneers fall to 0-2 and the Rams are 1-1.